The encounter that just melted the internet, and possibly Jonas. Let's set the scene. It's 30 degrees Celsius, the air is dry, the sun is angry, and somewhere high in the European mountains, presumably where even the cows have SPF 50, Jonas Vingegaard is grinding up a brutal climb in long sleeves and tights. Enter our hero, Josep Termens, spelled Josep-Termens, and pronounced with the awe of a man who just walked into a sauna and found the reigning Tour de France champion cooking himself like a Christmas ham. Josep, a cycling fan and possibly a man who just wanted a peaceful day in the mountains before the Pogačar-Vingegaard resumes in July, couldn't believe what he saw. Quote, "It was 30 degrees and he was wearing long sleeves and tights," he told reporters, clearly reeling from the trauma. That's right, while the rest of us mortals were applying aloe vera after walking 10 minutes in the sun, Jonas Vingegaard was wrapped like a Norwegian burrito, punishing his cardiovascular system with what scientists politely refer to as mild thermal self-sabotage. Joseph didn't know what he was looking at. Was this man okay? Was he lost? Was he doing some sort of high-altitude cosplay as a desert nomad? Was it some bizarre postmodern form of Scandi protest art? No, it was heat training. Intentionally, willfully, possibly delusionally. 2. Heat training. The new Norwegian method. Okay, if you've ever heard of heat training, let us explain. Heat training is when elite athletes simulate racing in high temperatures by cooking themselves like Thanksgiving turkeys during training. It increases plasma volume, enhances thermoregulation, and might even give you visions of Chris Froome pedaling backwards. Now, to be clear, this method is backed by science. Since science always comes first, it also comes with a generous side of risk, dehydration, heat stroke, and hallucinations involving Tadej Pogačar flying past you on a unicycle made of ice cubes. But let's go back to Jonas. Most heat training is done in controlled environments. Saunas, heat chambers, or at least with a car following behind offering hydration and occasional existential check-ins. But not Jonas Vingegaard. No sir, he chooses the gladiator route. Lycra from head to toe in the burning sun at altitude where oxygen is more of a suggestion than a reality. And here's the kicker. He thinks this is how he'll beat Tadej Pogačar. Yes, the man who eats cobbles for breakfast and climbs like he's late for a date with destiny. That Tadej might apparently be undone if Jonas can just become heat-proof enough to avoid spontaneous combustion by stage 14. Let's go back to what Vingegaard told TV2 Sport. Quote, "I think my strength lies in the long, punishing days, especially as the Grand Tour progresses. So that's what we have to believe in, and hope that's where we can make a difference in the Tour de France." Translation: I've decided the best way to win is to become an air-fried version of myself. 3. Joseph's brain short-circuits, and who can blame him? Josep Termens, again, spelled exactly how it sounds and now permanently altered as a person, could only stand there confused and concerned, possibly reconsidering his life choices. The man had stumbled into a human oven. He came to the mountains for peace, and instead he found Jonas Vingegaard simulating Qatari summer conditions on a glacier. The irony wasn't lost on him. Imagine this poor guy, he's sipping water, drenched in sweat from walking, wearing a breathable cotton t-shirt, maybe snapping photos of butterflies or looking for wild berries, and then out of nowhere here comes Denmark's heat-seeking missile, dressed like he's going for a brisk jog on the surface of Mercury. Joseph's quote is short but haunting. It was 30 degrees and he was wearing long sleeves and tights. There's a tremor in that sentence, a subtle panic. This is a man who saw something he shouldn't have, like a bystander in a Marvel movie, watching Thor microwave himself alive with lightning, except this time the lightning is self-administered, thermogenetic stress, and Jonas's cape is made of sweat-resistant fabric. You can practically hear Joseph's internal monologue. Quote, "Is this normal? Do I call for help? Do I offer him water or just let the Lycra gods take him? Wait, is this how you beat Pogačar?" 4. What if this actually works? Here's where things get tricky, because what if this madness actually works and helps him defeat Tadej? What if Jonas shows up to the 2025 Tour de France in such absurdly heat-adapted shape that even Pogačar's Slovenian sunshine resistance is no match? What if by stage 17 it's Jonas who looks fresh and glowing, while Tadej's melting like a gelato in July? Suddenly the fan, quote, becomes legendary. Suddenly Joseph Termans becomes the man who witnessed the transformation of a Tour champion into a carbon fibre furnace. And let's not forget, Jonas isn't just heat training in normal conditions. No, that would be far too reasonable. He's doing it at altitude, where oxygen levels are lower than the IQ of a man who stares at the sun for fun. That means double stress, less oxygen, and more heat. It's the training equivalent of going on a treadmill inside a volcano while someone whips you with a wet towel. It's mad, it's brilliant, it's Danish science meets Viking masochism. And now the fans are watching closely. Every roadside spectator, every amateur meteorologist, every Twitter warrior with an FTP of 220, an opinion on every watts per kilo stat. They're all wondering, is Jonas Vingegaard heat-proof now? Is he Java resistant? Is he coming to Paris shirtless and invincible? 5. When suffering becomes strategy and Lycra is a weapon. Let's zoom out for a second. Vingegaard's quote to TV2 Sport is telling. "I think my strength lies in the long, punishing days, especially as the Grand Tour progresses." Read that again. Punishing. He says it like a man who genuinely enjoys prolonged agony. And maybe he does. Maybe that's the whole point. This isn't just heat training. This is pre-suffering. This is weaponized discomfort. This is Jonas Vingegaard showing up to the Tour de France already halfway broken, because that's the only way to survive 3 weeks of battling Pogačar. You have to suffer before the suffering begins. You have to be so familiar with misery that when it comes knocking in stage 19, you greet it like an old friend. And let's face it, beating Tadej Pogačar requires this kind of insanity. Tadej rides like the laws of physiology were merely suggestions. He dances up mountains, wins sprints, and probably doesn't even sweat. He's the kind of rider who would take on Mont Ventoux and then ask where the next espresso stop is. So Jonas has to go deeper, stranger, and hotter. Hence, full-body Lycra in mountain infernos. It's not just heat training, it's psychological. Jonas is saying to the world, look at what I'm willing to do. If I'll cook myself like a rotisserie chicken on my day off, what do you think I'll do when the yellow jersey is on the line? Joseph Termans was just the unfortunate civilian who got too close to this war zone. A man who came for a natural walk and left with a front row seat to Pogačar melt the Vingegaard. Final thought, so is this normal now? At the end of the day, fans are divided. Half are in awe, and half are deeply concerned for him. And a small minority are just Googling heat training side effects and shaking their head. Is this what pro cycling has come to? Athletes willingly roasting themselves like rotisserie chickens on treeless mountain slopes? Are we one step away from someone riding a turbo trainer in an active volcano just to simulate UAE Team Emirates Team Bus Sauna? Where does this stop? Will Remco Evenepoel start training inside a sealed greenhouse in Qatar wearing a wetsuit? Will Pogacar train on a treadmill over a campfire while reciting Shakespeare? Will Geraint Thomas start bathing in boiling tea just to, quote, toughen up the skin? All we know for sure is Joseph Thurman saw something that day that he can never unsee. A man in tights on a climb in 30-degree heat, smiling, maybe even thriving. Thank you for watching today's video. Please subscribe to my channel if you're new to stay up to date with all of the latest cycling news, drama and results. Also, leave a like on today's video and feel free to comment down below your opinion.